Hello, welcome. I am so glad that you're here. I just, let me just take a minute and just take a big deep breath in and just relax into the moment. So, whoever is here and why ever you're here, I know one thing for sure, that divine design brought you here. And I'm having a challenge with this delay, so just let me know if it's an issue for you. But I'm going to keep going, and I'm just going to trust that you can hear what I'm saying, that the volume is good, and I'm not going to get hung up on the logistics. I'm going to go ahead and teach this message, and then if I need to make another video after this that looks a little more coherent, I'll do that. But right now, it's about me being obedient to change. And actually, this is a great lesson for today, just having this not kind of show up exactly perfectly in my view that I have, because I think a lot of the times when we're called to make a change, to step into the next phase of our lives, I know for me, the perfectionist in me wants to find a way to make sure that all the ducks are in a row, that everything's lined up, that it's absolutely the way that it needs to be before just launching in and diving in and doing the thing, or being obedient to. And what are we being obedient to? We're being obedient to a divine call within, our intuition that is calling us forward to something more. So maybe you can relate to this, and this transmission will be for you today. It'll be, trust me, for you today. If you are feeling this sense of guilt inside of you for outgrowing something. This is a big period of time in all of our lives right now of outgrowing. It is a great shedding, just time-wise, for so many people. For most of the people that I know, I've had so many conversations I can't even count about feeling like it's time to just move on. It's time to change. It's time to grow. It's time to move into the next evolution. And for my call, it's been a call of awakening. It's been a call of like, man, I want to get to, especially when I turn 50. And before that, I think my whole life has been a journey and seeking and finding. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for the highest and good. I've always been looking for the highest and good, the highest expression of myself, the highest good in myself, the highest expression of other people, the highest good in other people. And if you have that call, that comes naturally to you, to want to seek out personal development, to want to read all the books and make all the journal entries. But there's a point in your life where you feel you're on a precipice of change, where you've gone as far as you can go with the self-help books. You've gone as far as you can go with some of the teachers or some of the things you've been hearing. And the next big move for you isn't a how-to, it's actually a leap. The next big move for you involves an incredible amount of trust. It involves an incredible amount of following your divine intuition. And so I just want to start this conversation too by saying to you, it's not that you don't know what you need to do. You know exactly what you need to do. Now, the lie that you will tell yourself in order to not have to be so uncomfortable with doing the thing you don't want to do, the lie you will tell yourself is, I'm not ready to do that thing I want to do. Fear will come in, or I can't do that thing I want to do because I'll be disappointing someone else. I'll be hurting someone else. I won't be living up to an expectation of who and how I'm supposed to be in the life of somebody else. And that is a recipe for guilt. Now, guilt is not a natural byproduct of change. If you look at, just think about this with me for a minute, right? And the insanity and stupidity of us feeling guilty. Now, primarily, We could feel guilty about outgrowing a job. We could feel guilty about outgrowing a place we live in because we're tethered to the roots. We can feel guilty. Most of the time we feel guilty for outgrowing a person. You can feel guilty for outgrowing people, places, or things, but most of us feel guilty for outgrowing a person because the story we tell ourselves or the story they tell us about the pain that we're inflicting because we're trying to move the hell on. Okay. But when you think about it for a minute, guilt is not a natural response to change. Tell me one thing without the story that produces a feeling of guilt in you when it's natural. So let me just define change. Let me define outgrowing. Let me put it in a framework for us that will help you to feel less guilty and more rooted in the truth of what's really happening here. You're not, number one, abandoning someone. You're not abandoning someone when you outgrow it. You're not rejecting somebody when you outgrow them. You're not rejecting them. You're not betraying somebody. We have these 6 attachments of tethers of things we think we're doing. I think I'm betraying you when I outgrow you. I think I'm rejecting you when I outgrow you. I think I'm abandoning you when I outgrow you. I think that I'm neglecting you when I outgrow you, and some other things as well. And so then the story sets in. And by the way, it might not be your truth. You might know in your heart center, in your core, in your gut, that you're not actually rejecting somebody by outgrowing them. It's a natural byproduct. So that's not natural. Feeling guilty in the form of I'm rejecting you or neglecting you or abandoning you or betraying you is not a normal response to change. In fact, outgrowing something, I've written it down because I want to make sure I say it right. Okay. Outgrowing something is a natural response to what's no longer meant for your highest good. I'm going to say it again. Outgrowing something is a natural response to something that no longer serves your highest good. Now, that's just what it is, period. But what happens is because we don't know that for sure, or because we have the story that seeps in, we then say to ourselves, no, I need to feel guilty and bad and shameful about this. So we don't do it. And what happens is when you let that guilt overtake you, or that story that you're not supposed to outgrow something, you let that story overtake you, that's where the problems happen for you. That's where you start to feel the effects of staying in a situation too long. And you know what those effects are on you. You feel them on a regular basis. How do you feel when you stay in something you know you've outgrown? How do you feel? Well, you feel, number one, constricted and restrained. There's a part of you that's longing to unfold. It's longing to expand. It's longing to express its fullest expression. But if you've outgrown a situation, you'll feel restricted. You won't be able to push out as much as you want or expand as much as you want because the space that you're in no longer serves the developmental stage that you're at in your life. Anna says that's how she felt at her corporate job. Very good. And that's a natural thing. When you get to this phase that you feel like Anna I'm sure can relate. Now, Anna, the problem would be if we get to that phase of knowing that it's time to go, but then we say, but I've been here for 20 years. What are they going to do without me? Oh, you know what? I really can't go because I owe them. They really gave me a job and a chance when nobody else really would. I started from the bottom, now we hit. I worked my way up in this company and now I owe them. You see how the story starts to set in. So I march back into that corporate job out of loyalty instead of intuition, divine intuition. I go from loyalty stories, right? And by the way, loyalty, the only real loyalty is to yourself and to the divine calling within and the divine within. But we don't follow the divine. We're more loyal to people around us that are constricting us than we are to the divine call to move forward. And that's the problem, right? So let's think about this restriction. Anna said, that's how I felt at my corporate job. So maybe you have a relationship as you're watching. So feel free to comment. This is our live exchange. This is our energetic exchange. This is a transmission. This is me pouring into you and you exchanging. So please feel free to comment, say whatever you want to say, and I'll respond live as we're going, which is so cool to have a dialogue with you. I love this ability to have that with you. So let's just take this concept of, I can't go because I feel guilty even though I'm restricted. And I want you to take this all the way back because we're going to examine the stupidity of this idea. That's what we're going to do. Because I love to pick apart something that people are so attached to and just break it down and like unveil the stupidity behind the thing we're thinking. So we go, oh my God, I can't believe I was thinking that. It's so cool because when you have that kind of a shift, it really shifts you at your core, right? So let's think about it for a second. You have a child, a baby in a womb. This is probably the biggest example of naturally outgrowing a space that you can possibly think. So let's just go here for a minute. Let's imagine a baby inside of a womb, a mother's womb, the safest, most wonderful space. This baby is floating around in this womb. Every single thing this baby needs is coming through to the baby, right? They have everything they need. And just picture, sometimes I could just wish I could just play womb sounds behind me right now. And if I ever have a team someday, I will play womb sounds behind me and I'll get the echo and we'll be in the womb. And in the womb space, this baby has everything it needs. It has all of the air breathing through its gills or whatever else. Okay. It's very comfortable inside the womb. Okay. Long story short. So it has everything it needs, but it grows. It grows in divine timing, by the way, right? It grows in divine timing. And this is the type of intelligence that it doesn't have to do a damn thing, right? It's just in the womb, growing, trusting divine mother and earth mother to nurture and give the baby what it needs. And there's a time that comes. There's a time that comes where that baby goes, shit, man, it's been really cool in here and all, but it's a little tight. You know what I mean? It's a little tight in here. And the baby starts to get kind of uncomfortable, right? They start to feel not kind of uncomfortable, but probably very uncomfortable. I just imagine, because I was a 10-pounder. I was a big ass baby. So I just imagine being a big ass baby inside of the womb, right? And I'm like, at some point, this 10-pounder right here went, Jesus, I got to get out of here, right? But I didn't have the dialogue to say. So what happened is I knew instinctively as a baby, it was time to get out. And I, as a baby with no language, with no ability to conceptualize what the fuck is going on inside of this womb, just thought I need an exit. Just knew intuitively I needed to freaking exit. So how did I do that? I didn't do it at all. I opened my eyes, or probably didn't open my eyes, but opened my third eye, and God opened a portal called a vagina. And I went through that portal and I went out into the world. Now, if you've ever birthed a baby, you as a woman know that the most loving thing you can do when you're birthing a baby is to do what? Is to let that baby come out. Okay. It's not to hold on and cling to the baby inside. It's not time yet. You can't go anywhere. Wait, I'm not ready for you. I decided whenever I was going to have a baby that I wanted to do it naturally, because I had been working in addiction for a very long time. I'd been working with addicts and alcoholics and freeing them from the tethers of addiction and the attachments to self-sabotage and self-destruction. And I really realized that when I had the baby, I didn't want her to come into the world high on a substance. I wanted her to come into the world naturally, cognitively, fully with it. And that was my commitment. So I was willing to kind of sacrifice my comfort in order to give Elovie, my daughter, the most natural, organic, realist awakening to life that she could have, so that she came in unencumbered by drugs, by nothing that was fogging her ability to just enter and do the thing that she needed to do. Because also as a baby, when you drug up your baby in your womb, they kind of not necessarily don't know naturally how to exit, right? So birthing is the easiest thing in the world when we let it happen. When we let it happen, okay? And this is really important for you to remember this analogy as you're trying to exit challenging situations, that the path for you to exit these challenging situations is in fact a natural path. It is in fact a divine path where you really don't have to do much efforting at all if you trust the portal that God shows you to exit and you follow the portal, you follow the call. Now, as a baby, as an infant, as a fetus, you don't know what the fuck is going on. You don't know if you should trust it, if you shouldn't trust it. So what I want you to understand is you're born with trust. Trust is something you're born with. How do you know? Because you go to the portal that the divine told you to go to so you can be birthed. You didn't make that conscious decision. That's an innate ability inside of you to follow divine order, which is go to the portal, exit through the portal. Imagine if a baby was in the womb and had story attached to the exit, or had a maladaptive belief system that leaving their mother's womb was hurtful to the mother, that leaving the mother's womb would cause the mother angst, anxiety, pain, discomfort, whatever. The baby knows intuitively that also the mother is seeking relief as well, because it's not comfortable for her either. But I could lie and tell myself a story that I could stay in there forever and she'd be comfortable, but I'd be lying, right? So because a baby has no cognitive ability, and the cognitive ability is great. Listen, God bless the neocortex. Thank you, God, for the neocortex. We love it. We appreciate it. But in fact, what it's done is inhibit consciousness. It inhibits consciousness because it wants the ego lives here. And so whenever we have a divine order, we have a divine calling, we have a divine direction, which is in your intuition. It's in one of the 4 centers. You know it's time to go because you'll feel it in your womb. It'll show up for you as like a lack of creativity. The womb is where all creation energy comes in. So if it's time to exit and you're feeling stuck there in that energy, you won't be able to create anything. You'll feel stuck. You'll feel stagnant. You'll feel empty. You'll feel like there's no juice flowing in your life. You'll feel dead from the waist down when it's time to exit. That's the womb wisdom telling you, I have no fire, honey. I have no juice. It's time to go. From your wisdom center in your solar plexus is the second brain, and it's your gut brain. And it'll tell you it's time to go. You'll know instinctively, I've outgrown it. It's time to leave. It's time to go, right? Or your heart brain. You'll feel unloved. You'll feel sad, you'll feel depressed, you'll feel like there's so much more love available to you. You'll crave and imagine a divine, passionate relationship when you're obstructed or constricted in your heart. And you'll look at the person you're with and you're like, there's so much more love for me to experience and for me to give, but I've outgrown the amount of passionate exchange that's available from here. And that could be showing up in your womb, as in your resistance to wanting to have sex, your resistance to wanting to be intimate. These are all signs for you, divine signs, that it's time to exit, just like the baby knows intuitively and trust it's time to exit, because the baby has this intuitive knowing it's got time to fucking go. But the baby can't make up all the stories like you do and I do. Also, it'll tell you conscious, but the God brain, which is your ability to see things, to know, kind of have a knowing from here, right? It's a problem connecting all the dots, because maybe your wisdom center, one to here, knows, but your heart center has got a clinging issue. Or maybe your womb knows, your sexual energy knows, but you've got a clinging in your solar plexus, So what it is a clinging problem that we have. And imagine a baby in the womb that wants to cling to the umbilical cord. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, I was a baby and I didn't want to come out. That story that you were told. No. All babies want to come out. It's how you wanted to come out wasn't approved of by the people who were trying to extract you. So as a baby in the womb, you would have come out naturally. No, they didn't need the forceps. No, they didn't need to cut it open. No, they didn't need to do all the things. If there was a C-section involved, then yes, that to get you out. That was part of that journey. But my point is, some of the more to extract ourselves from situations aren't necessarily the best and most productive ways we extract ourselves from situations. And let me explain. If I had a baby in the womb that wouldn't come out, would I shame the baby? Would I go, what the fuck's the matter with you? Get out. Let's have another example of outgrowing something. What do I have here? I have a diaper in my hands, okay? A baby diaper. Now, we all know that when we're born, we finally come out. If we're not, we don't are really with it, right? So we poop and pee all over ourselves, which is not societally cool, right? It's not cool to walk around and poop and pee all over people or yourself, right? So what we do, we wrap it up. We put a diaper on. We put a diaper on it, and we say, if you're going to poop and pee, do it on yourself. Don't do it. I'm just thinking how stupid that is, right? If you're going to have to poop and pee, keep it on yourself. This is not meant for, this again, like training a baby when they're born to poop and pee on themselves, because pooping and peeing on themselves is the only way that it's going to be socially acceptable to poop and pee, is kind of like subconsciously teaching an adult that the only way to deal with your shit and to handle all your stuff is to shit all over yourself, right? And that's just not, some of these concepts are a little strange, I know. I like to think differently, because I think thinking differently saved my life. I think my ability to think differently and to change my perspective and change my ideas changed my life. And I know that it can help you as well if you're willing to entertain some of these wilder ideas, okay? It's natural to outgrow a diaper at some point, because there's some gets uncomfortable in their own poop, right? That goes, oh my God, this isn't. So as a mom, what if you told that child who had this diaper on, well, no, you can't outgrow that. You have to leave it on forever. That's what it is. I mean, this is the safest way, right? You just got to leave it on. And you're knowing intrinsically, I've outgrown this contraption. This is not serving. How do you know that something is no longer for you? It is no longer serving your highest good. And pooping all over yourself at some point, we recognize doesn't serve my highest good to be in a pile of shit, right? So we learn how to get out of the situation that we're in. And now it's a natural progress to do that. But we say, well, you're not doing it fast enough. If somebody comes and interrupts that process, well, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, and you're not ready to hear it, you'll resist. You'll become potty training resistance, right? Just like with you, if somebody's telling you to move out of your shit too quickly and doesn't give you this toilet to poop in, or where else to put the poop, or how to handle the poop, or how to take the poop that you're in and put it somewhere else, and where the proper disposal is for the poop, right? And when to poop, and how to know you have to poop. And if somebody doesn't teach you all these things, then you feel scared to do it. And so it is with you. What do you need when you're in a diaper to let go of? Or training wheels. Let's say training wheels is another example. In your childhood, you're on a bicycle and you have training wheels. At some point, the training wheels are slowing you down. Do you feel guilty about that? Or do you feel empowered and proud of yourself? You feel a little scared too, if you're honest. You feel a little scared, right? You're like, oh man, on my training wheels, I don't know if I'm going to do it. But there's a certain point when you're given the right support, you're given the right instruction, support and instruction, and cheerleading, praise, approval, cheerleading from somebody, then you're on the right track, right? Confirmation from somebody. Wow, you're doing great, great, great. You can do this, you got this. Or intrinsic confirmation. You're ready to let the training wheels go naturally. But sometimes for you, it's like you have a destructive habit or pattern. Let's talk about the things that you can let go of, the things you're wanting to let go of, the guilt that you have, you're outgrowing things. We outgrow eating disorders. We outgrow alcohol use. Naturally, when we let it come to a point in our lives where we know it's no longer serving our highest good, we find ways to naturally let it go. The problem with you and why you're still clinging is because you don't know that letting go of that thing is for your highest good. Because the lie that you've been told is that it can't be for your highest good because you're going to hurt everybody else. You're going to, change hurts people. Well, the most natural thing in the world is change. The most natural thing in the world is change. Try stopping change. Try stopping change. Are you not supposed to outgrow your husband who no longer supports you, serves you, lights you up, Jesus? There's no more important situation that you are going to make in your life than who you choose to spend your life with. And if you have outgrown that person because it's constrictive for you, because they're still living in the dark, they're still they're playing in some kind of, then the story comes in now. Here it is. You can hear it clearly now. Are you ready? How dare you leave somebody when they're not just because they're not where you are. How dare you outgrow that man that came alongside of you and built this thing with you and protected you and was there for you. And how dare you outgrow this relationship because, they loved you when you weren't really that lovable. And how dare you because you were broken and now you're not, now you're too good. And how good do you think, the stories fucking come. And that is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You're allowed to be grateful for somebody for the past things they've provided for you and be grateful for that space and still need to move the hell on. You're allowed to hold two positions at one time. You're allowed to leave and still be super grateful. You're allowed to leave and it doesn't take anything away from that experience. If you're leaving hurts somebody else, whose job is it to heal that hurt? Not yours. You cannot heal the hurt in somebody else because you are inflicting the hurt in someone else. You have to make peace with pain. Change sometimes hurts a little bit. If it doesn't hurt a little bit, I can't think of anything that doesn't hurt a little bit. I really can't think of anything. And why? Because that's the balance of the universe between pain and pleasure. It's the balance. You can't have pleasure without the pain. You can't have pain without the pleasure. You can't have it. So the first thing we need to do is change our relationship to change, which is what we've done, where we understand change is a normal, natural response to things that no longer serve your highest good. The second thing we need to know is that change is a little painful. It's sad. When you watch the seasons change, how do you feel? When winter ends, and some of us who love winter, winter is a time of deep reflection and winter ends, sometimes you feel really grateful when it goes into spring and you're like, oh God, thank God winter's over. I'm ready for that. But there's a time where you grieve the winter a little bit. You're like, oh, I miss Christmas, or oh, I really want to do Christmas in July, or, you miss things. Or if it's summertime and you're going into fall, and you just might miss the summers, it's a little sad because you had that summer break. You had the summers off with the kids. It's a little bit of, you're ready for it. You're ready for the change. By God, you're ready for fall because, honey, it's pumpkin time. You're ready to get your autumn on. But it's a little sad because there's a natural grieving that is necessary in releasing something. And we can't leave that part out. You're not supposed to feel. Some of you are so afraid to leave something that in order for you to go, your only fuel is rage. Your only fuel is rage. Where you're like, what, I want to leave this situation, but I don't have enough ammunition. Let me stock up and get so pissed off at you that I have enough ammunition inside of myself to pull the freaking trigger. That's what you do. And that serves you, but there are so many other feelings you can attach to being able to give yourself. And by the way, does a baby need justification to exit the womb? Does a baby need justification to exit a diaper? Does a baby need justification to take off the training wheels? No, we know it's natural. But the mother might mourn her pregnancy loss. Her mother might mourn the time that you were in the womb but then exited. And even though children exit sometimes, they don't exit fully born, do they? They exit, at all different times and things like that. And sometimes we have that mourning because we think, oh my God, you exited too soon. We have an attachment to the exit. We have an attachment to how the exit's supposed to look. We have an attachment to how change is supposed to look. But the truth is, You don't have any control over any of that. And there really is a divine timing element to all of it, way beyond your understanding or mind. All I know is that I need to let it happen. I actually don't need to force it by getting rage in my mind and finding all the things about you that I don't like that are ammunition enough to go. I don't need to make you my enemy to leave. I can just decide that it's natural for me to go to the next phase of my life. Wow. Can you imagine the freedom there? Imagine it with me for a minute. Take a big deep breath in for 4, out for 4, in for 4, out for 4. That was more like 8, in for 4, out for 4, in for 4, out for 4, more like 8. In fact, whenever we're breathing and we make a noise as a release, I want you to feel what it feels like to naturally let something go. This is what it feels like to naturally let something go. Take a big deep breath in. This is air, the thing that you're always taking in all the time. You're taking it in and letting it go. The best example of taking in and letting go and moving on is air. In and out. Taking and receiving and giving. Flow of energy exchange. I take it in. The most natural thing in the world is to let it go, isn't it? And the more I let it go, the better it feels. The easier I let it go, the more pronounced I let it go, the better it feels. Picture this: if you take in a breath and you only let part of it go out, okay, it's not natural. It doesn't feel very good, but the most natural thing in the world is to let it go. And the most natural thing in the world is to let it go with relief. That's the most natural thing in the world. It's the most natural thing there is. If I don't let myself do that, because I attach to a story, I feel constricted and restrained, and I don't have the life force in me. So today, I want you to think about this. If guilt wasn't real, because change is a natural, guilt's not real. Why? Tell me with me. Because outgrowing something is a natural response when something no longer serves what? Tell me. Your highest and best good. What is change? What is outgrowing? It is a natural response to leaving behind what no longer serves your natural and best good. I hear the questions that are coming up for you, but what about when they say this? What about when they do that? What about when it comes up for me? What do I do? I understand. That's why I've created the support tools for you to be able to make this change and walk you home to it. That's why you need a birth doula. When you birth a baby, a doula is not somebody who forces a baby out. A doula is somebody who helps you let it go. A doula is somebody who helps you naturally release your baby into the world. A doula reminds you of your own power and strength and ability. I am your doula, but I'm a life doula, change doula, a birth doula. But what are we birthing is you. We're birthing your authentic self. We're releasing and learning the most natural thing in the world is to be you. The most natural thing in the world is to follow your intuition. The most natural thing in the world is for you to go to portals and go down the rabbit hole. The most natural thing for you to do is leave behind things that don't serve you, like an apple tree that grows fruit and one is rotten. It naturally lets it go, plop, and lets it go. It doesn't have a story about what it means when it lets it go. The most natural thing in the world is for you to be you. Let me help you remove all the barriers. Rumi said, your task is not to seek for love. Rumi said, your task is not to seek for love. It's to seek and remove the barriers inside you've built against it. Now, I know these things are natural for you to let go, to move, to release toxic, to move on to better things for you, to call in good in your life. I know these things are natural for you, but you have tethers and restraints. And that's real. You have tethers and restraints. And the tethers and restraints are the ideas, the beliefs, and the patterns that you carry around with you that prevent you from really just naturally being your divine self. Naturally prevents you from being joyful. Your natural state is bliss, joy, peace, release, flow. That's your natural state. Your natural state is homeostasis. Your natural state is balance. Your natural state is peace. I know this to be true. I know this to be true. God showed me this to be true. I had an awakening myself where these things have been revealed to me. And it's the most natural thing in the world to have this understanding, to be shown these things. I mean, I'm not special. We all have this ability to have an awakening. I call it a psycho-spiritual awakening. And actually, believe it or not, this is going to sound super crazy, but what I've had and what I'm calling it is a psycho-sexual spiritual awakening. A psycho-sexual spiritual awakening is when all of those wisdom centers are activated. The womb center of wisdom is activated. You know how to listen and follow and be in alignment with your divine desires, your creativity, your sexuality. You have an aligned solar plexus where you believe your self-esteem is naturally restored, where you know your true identity. Your heart center is restored, where you know how to give and receive love freely and with the right people. And your eye center, your vision center is restored, and you have a direct line. Your crown, your divinity is restored. And you know and hear from God, and you follow that. That's where I would like to take you. That is my divine gifting, because I've first been a student myself to learn, to be shown these things. And because, and again, it's nothing I ever would have come up with on my own. I went as far as I could on my own. I invented some personality patterns. I was a very cognitive person. I was a psychology girl. You know, I was like a smart girl. I wanted to be the expert. I wanted to have the glasses. And so I poured myself into research on human development and behavior and studied amongst the greats and learned psychologically as far as I could go. And I went there and I felt like really good. I felt like super equipped, really smart. I felt like I'd been knighted with all this psychological information. You know, I had, but there was still a calling in me. It's like, man, there's so much more. You know, you have this attachment, Heidi, to this expert, you know, and this glasses and be the smart one, and like a scientist would be, or like a psychologist would be. And you're attached to this because you think it's somehow going to give you proof that you know enough to do what you want to do. And now you know enough to do what you want to do, but it's still not all the things I want to teach you and tell you and show you and the magic that you have to give to the world. So what happened with me is I was operating from an ego's perspective of like, let me teach you what I know. Let me show you what I know. Let me teach you the steps. Let me show you what so-and-so says about interpersonal psychology and neurobiology and all these things. And I have tons of videos on the brain diagrams and all of it, the psychological stuff. But I had a call in my heart recently because I had outgrown something that no longer served me. That model, that construct of my identity no longer served me. And I went on a spiritual journey and a quest to enter another level, a new level of enlightenment and awakening. And that is when what you seek is seeking you. I'm not special. What you seek is seeking you. The only reason I've had access to these, and you can see some of these uploads behind me about the miraculous things that the divine has shown me about how to transform and make change. And by the way, God told me the other day, like, you know, AI is stupid compared to God. It really is stupid compared to God. You know, you can type in tips and strategies and make videos and look at your top 10 and do all these things, but it will never have the consciousness of God. It will never have the consciousness of God. And that's the gift. The gift is, now there are some experts that are going to say, well, that is God consciousness because it's math and it's quantum physics and it's zeros and ones. And I understand that philosophy. And I'm not saying like some of the you know, philosophies around AI and spirituality. But for me, I've been directed to have God be the source, the divine be the source of my divine intelligence. So there's artificial intelligence and divine intelligence. And I want to operate from divine intelligence all the time. But I was really fucking scared to do that because I'm like, what are people going to think? Still comes up. Even though I've made all these strides and all these changes, that little part of me, that inner critic, the perfectionist still comes up, or the controller still comes up. All these personalities the patterns that I invented when I was in my psychological phase, right? Which now are helping me because now I understand the bigger picture. God revealed to me the whole picture of transformation and change. It's behind me on a diagram. All of life and change is on that octagon that I made behind me, for what I've been shown. And the cool thing is that it's easier this way. But I'm still tempted. I get on my videos in the morning and I'm like, put all this pressure, right? And I'm like, what am I going to talk about? What's my 5 steps? I've been tempted to go on AI and go, give me the steps and see if they have a better answer than I'm going to come up with, right? And God says, no. The only thing you need to do before you go live on Sundays at 11:11, and that's my commitment to you, is to go live every Sunday at 11:11, is I need you to just activate. What is activating? It's integrating and activating the divine within, accessing all of that information from within and getting out of my own way so that I can share with you the gifts and share with you the transmissions and share with you. And see, I'm not special. I really want you to understand this, okay? You have this same thing. You have in you a divine intelligence that wants to guide, direct, position you, and it's talking to you all the time. Call that the high divine. The high divine. It's your higher intelligence. It's calling to you second by 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 second. It talks to you through your body. It talks to you through your wisdom centers. But you'll never hear it. That's why Jesus always said, ears to hear, ears to hear. He wasn't like teaching, like an expert. Hear the steps. Ears to hear means you hear it in your soul. Ears to hear means you embody it. That's what ears to hear is. When Jesus performed miracles, it wasn't that Jesus was special. Oh my God, how dare I say that? How dare I say that Jesus wasn't special? Okay. I don't mean that he wasn't special. He was an amazingly special human. But what I want you to understand is he's not different than you. He's not more special than you. Okay? He's not more special than me. What he was able to do that made him special and significant was he was one of the very few in this lifetime experience that was able to get out of his own way and let the divine come through. He really understood how to reconcile his self-esteem. So he had no barriers to opening up the channel to the divine. It's very difficult. I'm learning it every day. I'm learning how to be more like that every day. How can I be more like Jesus every day? Just be a divine channel, follow my intuition, be obedient, do the thing. Now, for a lot of us who have religious trauma, it feels like, well, what's the point of that? You die in the end and you get crucified. I feel like that's a metaphor for death of self. You have to be willing to die to the ego in some way every single day. You have to die to your ego every single day. Well, if I leave, they're not going to be able to live without me. That's your ego. God will provide. Well, if I leave, they'll never find anybody else. That's your ego. They'll find somebody else. Well, if I go, I won't be able to find somebody else. That's your ego, limited self-esteem, wounded self-esteem. Of course, there's somebody else. Of course, right? So I want to help you doula the divine. Oh my God. Okay, there it is. There it is. That's what I want to do. I want to be a doula for your divine. Let me be a doula for your divine. It's in there. It's alive and well. It's within. The good news is the divine is within. The good news is the divine is within. The bad news is you won't birth it. I want to help you birth the divine. Birth the divine from within. Let me just feel. If you want me to help you do that, You can go to HeidiRain.com, or you can come back here every Sunday at 11:11, and I'm going to help you do just that. I'm going to help you birth the divine. I'll see you next week. May you be loved. May you know you're loved. May you try more and more to marinate on the divine that's in your womb, and how you can begin the process of learning to birth it. I love you. Let's end. Deep breath in. Put your hand on your heart. Put your hand on your head. Put your hand on your solar plexus. Move your hand over the 4 wisdom centers. Let's pray for some activation today. May I hear and listen to my womb today. Put your hand on your womb energy. May I hear and listen to my womb today. May I listen to her divine guidance. May I understand that it is in her excitement when she feels turned on by something, that's genuine. May she follow her turned onness. May she follow her creativity. May she follow her divine knowing of a yay and a nay. May she not engage in any acts of self-betrayal today or tonight. May she listen to what she really needs and desires and wants. May she understand what she needs to bring into her body that will nourish her today. May she open up that portal of nourishment and treat herself well and feed that womb what it needs to create. May she look at that space and make sure she's in the right space to do that. May she travel up to her gut instinct, and may she understand that gnawing in her belly is a smoke signal to her soul and her spirit calling for change. May she learn to hear that gut call when she walks in, and maybe you can walk into a thrift store and you can feel that gut and you don't have any problem following that. When you touch something and you go, that ain't for me. Well, how about when you touch your partner and you have the same gut feeling, that ain't for me, you fucking listen. Okay. Travel it up to the heart center. May she listen to that divine wisdom of what lights her up and what makes her feel love and divine, and that divine love. May she go outside and walk in the woods. May she take her shoes off and walk in the bare with her feet. May she feel the wind on her skin today. May she go to the ocean. May she float in the bathtub and know she's supported and loved. And the divine wisdom, may you pour in and ask God. And this is the key to opening this portal. The key to opening this wisdom center is questions, because this is where the answers come from. And in order to have better connection with the source and to be able to see things, you need to ask better fucking questions. What questions are you going to ask? Not what's wrong with me. You're not going to ask why you can't do the thing you're going to do. You're going to ask, how can I be the most loving version of myself today? How can I birth the divine? Where is the divine stuck? Show me my tethers. Show me the places where I need to release fear. Show me the places where I need to follow you. Help me to trust. Comfort me in this time. Now I'm going to combine my chakras. I'm going to say, okay, I see the fear. Comfort me. Make it a yay and a nay, right? We start to move these wisdom centers and energetically know how to listen and tap into each one, because there's not one more important than the other. And they're all telling you what to do and where to go. Okay. All right, my love. Let's take a big deep breath in. And so it is. Okay. All right. Go out in the world and do shit. All right. I love you. And more importantly than going out in the world and doing shit, go out in the world and be it. Be it. Be it. All right. Love you.